12 must reads, or as I mentioned or called them, good reads in 2020. So, we'll start with The Alchemist. The Alchemist is one of my favorite books by Paulo Coelho. And this book really was the first book I ever read. As I mentioned, I hate reading. I do not like reading. That's the first book I actually read that wasn't in school or required from me, or someone had a gun to my head and said, read that book. So this is a really good book. It's for anyone in a journey feeling that they're looking for something that they're passionate about. They don't know what it is. They don't know what their passion is. They want to find their way. It's a really good read. Highly recommended. Book number 2, How to Take Charge of Your Life by Richard Bandler. Again, for those of you who follow me, know that most of my talks are about neurolinguistic programming, which is understanding how language affects our programming, or our unconscious mind or subconscious mind. So this is another good read. It's really for anyone who's going through a hard time in their life, maybe a breakup, maybe not enjoying their life, not enjoying work, looking for happiness. You know, some people say, I'm looking for something that makes me happy. I think this book would help you understand how you can find happiness. So this is a really good book and highly recommended. Book number 3 is one of my favorites. This book changed my life, Awaken the Giant Within. This book really changed my life. So as I mentioned, I worked in finance and accounting for the longest time, and then read this book, decided to change my whole career to coaching and learning and development, motivation, etc. So it's a really good book by Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. This book actually even helped, like, the idea of, you know, there's a giant within everyone. And this is why I created my logo with a lion, because I believe that that giant is a lion that wants to speak out. So this book changed a lot of things in my life. I hope it helps you as well. And what I like about this book is that you know, you could actually, it's like a workbook. So the kind of person I need to become in order to achieve all that I want. So you start writing things down. So it's really not only a good read, it's also good practice. So you're actually understanding yourself and reflecting as you read the book. Now, book number 4, Start With Why, Simon Sinek. Start With Why is one of my favorite books. I think this book, I've gifted it to, I would say, at least 20 people. So whenever I want to get someone a gift, I would get them this book. Even in my seminars and my sessions, I usually have an extra copy that I just give it out to whoever I feel is contributing or might benefit from this book. Simon talks here about the golden circle, which is very important. The why, how, and what. So most people communicate from what they do and how they do it rather than why they do it. And this is what I focus on when I discuss goal setting. I always say, so it's not about what your goal is and how you're going to achieve it. Why is this goal important? Once you know the why, the how and the what will come really easy. And this concept on YouTube, if you go on YouTube and Google Simon Sinek's TED Talk, The Golden Circle, that was, I think, number 1 most viewed TED Talk. However, I think now it's down to 3. So it's a really, really good TED Talk. It's one of my favorites. I think I've listened to it over 10 times. Now, book number 5, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book was written in the 1930s. People might think it's outdated. I don't believe so. I think the concepts that in it live throughout different times and ages and etc. However, this book is actually it has some additions to it, so it does give examples of our time as well. So it's still a good read. I like the way, you know, he discusses, he had interviews with people like Thomas Edison or Henry Ford, etc. And he gets so much information. And that's the thing. If you want to be successful in anything, you need to find a model, someone that you respect that reached that target, and you just, you know, understand how they reached it. And this is what this book helps with. Another reason I recommend this book talks about reaching or being rich, not only on a financial means, on a mental perspective as well, because it's about understanding, finding that reprogramming your mind to be successful, reprogramming your mind to be rich, to attract it. If anyone watched The Founder, it's a good movie about McDonald's. You would see that, you know, a lot of it had like listening to motivational speeches, things like that, reprogramming yourself to be successful. So I think this is a really good book for people who are in search of financial freedom. Book number 6, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I actually read this book, so it wasn't an audiophile. Most of these books, I would say, I read some of them, some were audiophiles, but I really enjoyed this book because from someone coming from a finance background, Robert really discusses different things about finance that makes it's things they don't teach us at school. And it gives you a good comparison of and contrast between two dads, a rich dad and a poor dad. And it's not rich and poor only financially, it's the way they think. Again, I'll go back to the idea. You have to have a rich mentality before you actually become rich. And it's a really good book, really good read, highly recommended. Now, the 7th is the 7 habits, that was a coincidence, of highly effective people. One of the best books in business, one of the best books if you want to be efficient, if you want to succeed, if you want to be a leader. It's actually, this book is so important and good that when I used to train fresh graduates or interns, and I used to make them read this book, whether in English or Arabic, and then I would ask them to create a PowerPoint presentation, something interactive, something fun to explain the 7 habits. It's a very good read. I think I read it maybe 2 times, and I listened to the audio file. I think at least 4 or 5 times I've listened to the audio file. Sometimes it's good to go back. However, with this big list that I have, it's really hard to repeat a lot of books, at least in 2020. Now, number 8 is The Art of War, Sun Tzu. I think this is one of the best reads. It's also short. I think it's maybe 110 pages. Yeah, something like that. It's very good with strategy. This version is a good translated version to English, so highly recommended. So if you want to look it up on Amazon or something. It's a really good book. It's good with strategy. It's good with building your personality or developing your personality, how to deal with people. It's good for consultants, strategists. It's a very good read, very interesting, so highly recommended. I was debating whether I should put 2 authors in one list. However, Simon Sinek is one of my favorite authors. I mentioned him before with Start With Why, and now it's Leaders Eat Last. A very good book about leadership. It's also good to find your personal happiness. It's understanding the hormones or chemicals in the human body, talking about endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. I actually use a lot of this material in my speeches, in my seminars, and of course I refer to Simon Sinek. I love this author. He's really good. I highly recommend not only reading this book, also watching any interviews or material that Simon, or interviews or material he has online, especially on YouTube. So you could just sit down, grab your healthy salad, since we're eating healthy this year, and watching something useful. So highly recommended. Next, we are at the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. One of the best authors in the subject of leadership. I'm not sure, Google it to get the accurate number. I think he has over 73 books or 74 books, mostly about leadership. It was really hard to pick one book for John Maxwell. Oh, it's not on this list. I had in my list of 40 books, I have another book of his, which is The Influence. Where is it? Somewhere here. The Power of Influence. Oh, Becoming a Person of Influence. So I'm looking forward to his other book. I read most of his leadership books. I refer to him in most of my leadership workshops, and I highly recommend you read this book. And number 11, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. So, I think I'm biased. I recently listened to the audio file of this book, and it's really interesting. It's fun listening to. So even when I was working out, usually if I'm running, yes, I would listen to a book. But if I'm lifting weights or something, I would want something more motivational, a song or motivational speeches with music in the background. However, this book is really good. It helps you focus. So it's not about not giving an F about everything. It's about focusing what to give an F about and what not to. So I highly recommend this book. It's a really good read. I think he has a new book out, Mark Manson. He has a new book out. I didn't go through it yet, so I only recommend books that I read. And finally, The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, or Timothy Ferriss. I'm sure most of you follow him on social media, YouTube, etc. I think this is a really good book to go through, especially if you don't, I'm sure most of you have goals, health and fitness goals this year, and it's more about the body. It's not just about what to eat and how to exercise, etc. It's a very good book. Now, I think that this book, it's important that, see, it's true that I have 12 books, which would make sense once every month. I highly recommend that you don't read this in December. You either start with it at the beginning of the year, or you read it while you're reading something else, or listen to it. Because it's very important that at least now that you're starting a healthy 2020, that you're also doing the right things. So I highly recommended to go through this book. If you just have a quick glance about this list, as you can see, I started with finding your journey, your purpose, and then taking control over your life, awaken that giant, knowing that you are empowered. Start with why. Why are you doing things rather than how and what to do? And that applies whether on an individual or a corporate level. Think and grow rich, build that financial mindset. Rich Dad, Poor Dad gives you more understanding of finance. What 7 habits do you need to have in order to be successful? The Art of War, understanding strategy, dealing with people, etc. Leaders Eat Last, finding, understanding the chemicals in your body, happiness. The 21 Irrefutable Laws, more leadership development. The Subtle Art, what to focus on, what not to focus on. And then the 4-Hour Body to help support your mind, body, and soul. So this is my list. If you're not subscribed to our page, please subscribe and make sure that you click on that notification button so you could know whenever I post new videos. These videos are free of charge. You could, grab that healthy salad, watch one of these videos, and develop yourself. So you would be satisfying 2 of your goals, your learning goals and your health and fitness goals. And please share your comments if you have a different list of 12 must-read books. Please share and help everyone else learn. This is Hassan from the Coaching Talks. Thank you very much. Good luck.